This is Sean. I'm out here today and I'm looking at some commercial property, and I wanted to take you along while I'm doing the due diligence and just really evaluating this site. So let me get the drone up in the air and show you a little bit of the lay of the land and the overall of it. Then we'll take a look at the bad stuff. I wanted to start by taking a look at what is surrounding the property in question. So this is the field behind it. And the main thing I want you to note here is that the field is sloping ever so slightly away from it. And so the high point is right about where that tree line is. And so that's really good news for the property because you're not going to have a bunch of extra water coming from an unknown source. It also has this really weird little road spur right there. So you see that road that's cut in there? That's actually a named road from the city, but it was never finished. Nothing was ever done with it. And so, but I can't really do anything with it because it's not part of this property. You can see that we have a little bit of road frontage and we're at the end of a dead end street. And so this is pretty much the last property on this side of the road. That square you see there, that is a lift station for the municipal sewer. And that's just pretty much city property right there that they use for that. If you look at the property next to it, you see a big warehouse. I think they do powder coating right there. And I'll talk more about that adjacent property. And then you see other warehouses. So this is actually an industrial park, and this property is zoned industrial. What my goal is for today is to get a couple of test holes dug in here. So I've got my small mini X, and I'm trying to find a place to get in here. So you can see our road up here. And this is pretty flat across right here. And then it goes up quite a bit. So all this land and all this dirt right here would be what needs to come down. This all needs to get dug down right here and then put over here in this spot. Right there's the road, and there's the excavator over there. And so this area that's high right here would need to be dug out and dropped over here in this little drainage ditch area to try to get some flat usable space in here. So because I would need to be digging down right here, let me show you a couple of clues as to what might be going on this property. Take a look at that. That might not be super concerning. But take a look at this. Okay, so you see all these rocks? That could be bedrock right there. If that's bedrock, then we're not doing anything with this site. So a lot of times, the last site in an area is the last one for a reason, because you can't do anything with it. So I'm going to be digging a few test pits. Take a look at this ditch here. This is coming down from the neighboring property, so this would have to be diverted, probably a box put in here and dug out across that bank there. But we've got more rock here, and then this is the rock that's really quite telling. That thing has probably not moved in, I don't even know, maybe 30 million years or so. So you can see the lay of the land here. We also have an actual, what looks like a creek that goes back there. This here is just a stormwater ditch that has turned and eroded away, so that could be diverted. I'm going to call the county on Monday to talk about this stream here, because that looks like a stream. This is a pretty good example. That looks like a northern red oak there, Acer rubra, and you can see it doesn't have a taproot. So oaks typically don't have taproots. Okay, you can see our creek right here. So that looks like a pretty legit creek. And so typically in our area you need to stay 25 feet off of a creek for a right-of-way or whatnot. I need to call the county and double check on that. So we would probably be, I don't know, like maybe right in here or so. So we'd be talking about trying to flatten this whole area out. Now look at what's going on up here. The city, it looks like they bought this little square right here, and this is a transfer station or a lift station, pump station for sewage. And that's good news for me, because that means I could potentially tap into the sewer right here. Again, I've got to call the county and ask them about that. And then we also have a hydrant here and a water meter here, or a water valve here. And that's on the correct side as well. So look at that guy down there. Now you would think it's on the correct side, hook on to whatever I'm going to do. But sometimes they make you hook on the other side, wherever. The other thing I wanted to show you, take a look over here. Look at how low that building sits from the road here. And so everything I'm proposing has been done here already. This property here, and then a bunch of them up the road a little ways, they're all sitting down like this. And so whatever I'm proposing, I think is going to work. The big question, of course, is whether we have bedrock here or not. So those few rocks showing themselves may be telling us something. So let me go dig some holes. Trying to find a good spot to come in from. I thought where I was going to work up there, but I think that's kind of steep. So I'm kind of wondering if this might work right here. What do you think? Let me give it a try. That wasn't too terribly bad getting through there, and I'm right here on one of these rocky outcrops. So theoretically, if there's a lot of rock here, this should be the spot with the worst of it. So I'm just gonna start digging and see what happens. Okay, well, so far this is really good news. I'm down probably about 5 feet or so. See if I can get you down in there. And there's nothing but red dirt down there. So I think these rocks were just maybe thrown here or moved here or something here, but it does not appear that we have a bunch of bedrock here. So I don't think there's much point in digging too much deeper because we're getting pretty close to the level over there. So maybe I'll dig another test pit, maybe up there on the high side, but this is looking pretty promising so far. There are some pretty large rocks here, and I could have dug around here, but the thing is, I'm not going to be digging, I'm going to be digging off the top and bringing it over to this area. So I don't really care if there's bedrock down here. Just since I'm here, and just to say I dug another one, let me dig another test pit and just see what I find out here. This one I don't see any surface rocks, and so theoretically this should be nothing but red clay. Also, check out, there aren't really any trees around, so hopefully I won't hit any big roots. As you can see here, digging the second hole revealed that there were no rocks or bedrock. It's just all Carolina red dirt up here as well. So I'm starting to feel pretty good about maybe purchasing this property and doing some pretty major grading on it to flatten things out. This hole looks really, really good. I didn't hit any rocks, and it looks like nothing but red clay in here. So this is good news, and let me go ahead and get this hole filled back in and compacted back over top. I wanted to take a look at this creek. It looks pretty permanent to me. See this? That right there looks like bedrock, but it also looks like a boulder that's been fractured. I'm at the top of the other lot, and I'm not exactly sure where things end, but it looks like a feeder of some sort and a field. So this is nice and flat up here, but there's no road access to it. Looks like some workers maybe over there. Right there. Right there. But yeah, the field right here. We've got an erosion dam here. And I think that's the top of the little roadway. Let's actually walk up there. So this piece also I may be able to buy from the seller, but I don't know if this is worth anything, because this is where the creek is. Something's up there. Another erosion dam or something. This is definitely going to be tricky. Take a look at what's going on this side of the property. Look at how steep that is. I wanted to quickly tell you the story behind what's going on here. And so the wooded lot was posted on for sale, and I contacted the guy, got under contract with it, and we were chit-chatting. And once he found out that I had skid steers and everything and did the stuff I do, he told me that he was selling that wooded lot to develop this lot right here. And so he had paid a guy to develop this lot, and the guy like halfway did it and then left, and it's been over a year. And so we were pretty much like, well, if you're selling the wooded lot to finish this lot, why don't I just finish this lot for you, and then you give me the wooded lot? And so that was a big part of my summer here. And you can see in this drone footage, we've got a little less than an acre right here, and it's behind a couple of industrial buildings that the owner owns. His name is Sean. And you saw this lot already where we put a culvert in. And so this is a little bit of a preview of what it looked like. This is probably midsummer or so. And so I didn't film any of this because this was a really, really big project. And I was just freaking out the whole summer trying to get all this done. We brought in like 270 maybe dump truck loads of dirt, built the whole property up, brought in, I think, over 1,000 tons of gravel and concrete washout. And it was a big job over here. I bought that tandem dump truck during this time and was messing with it, and it's doing really well too. And so this was a big project here on this gravel lot, and let me get some drone footage of it now that it's finished. But what ended up happening is I got the wooded lot and pretty much got it in exchange for finishing off this lot. And so Sean does parking areas and a lot of trucking stuff. And so he wanted this area finished off to get trucks parking it back here and start making some revenue from that. And so that's what happened. That's where I was for a big part of the summer, was working on this area. I'm back out here checking on this property, and it's been several months since I was out there digging those test pits, but it's raining today. I've been out here a couple times during the rain, and so I figured I would bring you all along on this site visit. So let's take a look. Let's see what we've got going on. Couple things I've discovered since this culvert right here. I thought it was coming from the uphill property, but it's actually just coming from the other side of this little road that they never finished. So look at that. It's been raining all night and there's really nothing coming out of here. Now, how I discovered that, I looked through it, which is what I should have done to begin with. Look at that. Hopefully you can see, I can see daylight right through there. So we'll take a look at that in a sec. But this is not as big of a deal as I thought it was going to be. The main thing I want to check on is how much water is coming through this creek. Because after talking to the county, they said I could put 40 feet of culvert in here. And I'm thinking a 48-inch culvert over top of the creek, and that'll allow access to that side of the property, which it's pretty steep over there, so I don't know that you would really do much with it. But I think putting a culvert in might be the first step in developing this property. So you can see it's got a pretty decent amount of water through it. And I guess the culvert would probably go across here somewhere where it's the flattest. This tree fell in the meantime, and you can see it's starting to rot away. problem I see with putting a culvert in here is all these rocks. So you'd have to get down to some kind of a smooth base for it. And you'd have to straighten this out a little bit too to get 40 feet in here. The other thing you don't really want is you don't really want a sharp corner like coming down here and then a corner going that way. So I would probably, just looking at the lay of the land, I would probably try to straighten this whole thing out right here perhaps. But this is all part of it. This is actually the adjacent parsec, and because it's landlocked here, they would then allow a culvert to be installed here to allow access to that parcel right there. So you can see from down here just how much grade we've got going on. It's quite a bit, but this is industrial zoned and it's in a really good location. So I talked to one of my grading friends, Daniel Watts, and he gave me a price on how much he would charge to get this site ready to build. And so as far as I'm concerned, that would be sweat equity that I could build into this property. I don't think I mentioned it, but this is like a road, I guess. It's a named street, but they never actually finished it. And let's take a look at where that culvert starts. You can see we don't have any water coming from the uphill property, which is really, really good. And this is the beginning of that culvert. No water in there either. So as far as water management goes on this property, this is looking pretty good. And the previous owner of the property installed this gate, and the city has not said a word about it. So apparently you're not really supposed to close this road off here, but nobody has said a word about it. I've come out here a couple times during the rain, and it's pretty encouraging. You can see I put some flags out here and there, but it's pretty encouraging. So I think I'm going to start clearing and developing this land. I have been sitting on this lot for several months now, and I guess trying to get a game plan of how I'm going to proceed with it. So definitely let me know what you all think about this. Is this a lot worth developing, do you think? I know it has a lot of grade to it, but a lot of the other lots on the street were in a similar situation where they had to pretty much do what they could to balance out and redistribute some of the grade. The other thing, on the gravel lot that I built, I just happened to link up with a company who had a ton of dirt coming out. And so if I could find another deal like that, I may not have to move as much dirt on the lot. The downside is you kind of have to have timing and everything else right, because if there's a major excavation and they're taking the dirt out, it's got to go somewhere, and it's got to go somewhere really, really quickly. The other thing about that is it's hard to compact it at the rate that it's coming in sometimes. So I would have to worry about that. But I think at this point, I want to get that lot to at least where you can at least back a dump truck into it and maybe start advertising that there's a place to dump fill dirt. So let me know what you all think about this, and also let me know if you'd like to see the video of me developing this lot. It's definitely going to be a huge project, and it'll probably be a multi-part video. So let me know if you would be interested in seeing that video. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching this video, even though it's a little bit different than my normal content, and definitely let me know what you think about developing this lot. Is it going to be a waste of money, or will it be worth it? What do you all think? All right, thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.